Listen to the wind in the junipers and the tales of the shifting, whispering sands.
Hello, I'm Mike Pickett. A widespread awareness of the precarious condition of the money system has caused an uneasiness among citizens everywhere in the world. As they deal with inflation and other factors that reduce the value of their money, ordinary citizens have become victims of broken financial systems that are based on debt and credit. Common people have not paid a lot of attention to what the money changers have been up to for lack of the capacity to do anything about it. In an attempt to take care of their own needs and to prepare for retirement, they bought into the options and offers made by bankers and brokers for lack of an alternative. After the financial smashing into the inevitable wall in 2008, there was a significant movement in protest to the money changers by citizens that were being robbed by such unscrupulous investment tactics. They called it Occupy Wall Street. People converged on the financial district of New York City in great numbers. The movement has been labeled as left-wing, but I think the label is misleading. The ones on the left were not the only people who were offended by the financial mess created by greed and the unchecked wild trading of debt instruments that had plunged the United States and the entire world into a critical frenzy. Dollars and other currencies at their founding were commonly based on debt and created out of nothing. Now the 2,000-year-old banking habit of fractional reserve lending is coming more into light as people everywhere are struggling with how to take care of themselves and their families when inflation is rising and their money is becoming less valuable at an accelerated rate. When Occupy Wall Street occurred, there was no way that could be seen for an alternative to the current money system. The only way that was seen by citizens in 2008 was to force Wall Street to repent, to change their unscrupulous ways and fix the system that they had created. It didn't work. They didn't change. Greed and competition prevented such a radical flip in behavior. The banks were injected with enormous amounts of money that was arbitrarily created out of nothing by central bankers by a simple debt instrument as simple as an arbitrary entry on their balance sheets. This time, a Roosevelt-style New Deal was not needed. The system was already in place to do it. Countless banks were injected with fiat funds in hopes that they would lend more to individuals and small businesses to re-energize the economy. They didn't do it, but instead they sat on the funds. The taxpayers would be on the hook in the future to pay for their mistakes. Out of desperation, the public are awakening in droves once again to the looming inevitable repeat of previous crashes that is coming in view of the fact that the Wall Street bankers have not changed their methods in the least. Inflation of the money supply looks more appealing to them, especially when it is soon realized that bankers were not being punished for their unscrupulous trading activities, but instead were being rewarded by a Federal Reserve System that was paying off their mistakes with no questions asked. It became a race to see who could accumulate the most of this fiat money, a race to see who would be in the front of this runaway train when it finally hits the wall. I guess the winners will be the only ones who turn into pink mist before anyone else does. It makes no sense at all when you think about it, but wait. The times have changed. An alternative to this phony system was and is in the offing. Suddenly in 2009, there was this anonymous person calling himself Satoshi Nakamoto. Seeing that such a broken system of debt could not be flipped, he discovered and prescribed an alternative referred to by Quoth the Raven in a recent article on Bitcoin Magazine as an exit ramp. Suddenly there was a way to remove oneself from the hands of a greedy Keynesian system of borrowing to create money from thin air to a new way to be removed from the Wall Street bankers and manage things on their own. Another more magnified melting of the paper debt seen in 2008 was looming in 2024. Now people were more awake. They could see through the money schemes that they saw in 2008. The phony paper was about to catch fire again, this time into a huge worldwide bonfire, the likes of which has never been seen in history. When the crash hits again this time, thanks to Satoshi Nakamoto and a loving God that is not apt to let his plan of freedom for individuals be blown up by a handful of control freaks that would prefer to let the system fall and replace it with a central bank digital currency, a money management system that would give the bankers control of the movements of every individual in the world, there is an alternative. It's called Bitcoin. It is an individual choice, but it is a heretofore non-existent exit ramp, a peaceful, non-violent alternative to a broken financial system and a broken fiat currency that naturally melts away to nothing in time. The numbers are growing. This time people don't have to march on Wall Street in protest of the ones who created this system of slavery. All they have to do is exit the system, and they will leave it in droves when the crash occurs again. Many are asleep now, but they'll awaken in a torrent when it happens again. This time there's a non-violent, non-confrontational alternative to fighting with those who created this mess. It's an alternative that is available now and is also waiting just beyond the door of chaos that is looming on the near horizon over the heads of all the people in the world. The longer the people wait, the more it'll cost them, but it'll always be available. An epiphany happens gradually and then suddenly. If you haven't had yours by now, you certainly will when things fall apart again, this time with a complete change. You'll change with it, either by choice or by force. The longer you wait, the more it'll cost you. The question for you is whether you want to stand on the side of individual choice and responsibility, or if you'd rather be a slave to a group of greedy narcissists who care little about your welfare and your freedom. I'm not a financial advisor, but my well-informed advice is for you to choose now to take the exit. Repent on your own and stop trying to force others to repent. Stay on the side of the God that created you. Knowledge dispels fear. Be a free and responsible citizen. Exercise your right to choose for yourself while you still can, and your future will look a lot better for you. I'm Mike Pickett. I'll see you again tomorrow. In the meantime, stay righteous and sleep well tonight, knowing that your savings are in your own custody.
Listen to the wind in the junipers and the tales of the shifting, whispering sands. Wild horses on the run into the setting sun and the smell of the leather in his hand.